Yesterday was my last day at Chick-fil-A. I got hired back in August. I worked there for about 8 months. So obviously with such a long career, I'm well qualified to talk about all aspects of the business. No, but seriously, there are a couple of things that I've picked up on and learned throughout the process. So if anybody is thinking about applying to Chick-fil-A or just wants some information about, the food service industry or customer service and all of that, this is kind of what I've learned throughout my time there. I got hired for front of house. There's also back of house and delivery. Back of house is basically the kitchen. Front of house is the people you interact with when you visit Chick-fil-A. And then delivery is the people who drive the delivery orders to customers' houses. I don't really know much about back of house or delivery. They're kind of separate bubbles, and front of house is kind of its own thing. So I didn't really get trained on anything else or learn much about it, so I can really only speak about front of house. When you first get hired, you're in training. You have a little in training badge on your name tag that you've probably seen a lot of people wearing at Chick-fil-A's. That lasts, for me it lasted about I think 3 to 4 months, and then at the end of that time, there is an assessment that you can pass, just making sure you know all the positions that you're supposed to know, and then you can move on to level 2. Level 2 is a couple more additional positions, and then after that, you can apply for I think then you can be senior team member after that, and then you have to apply to it's called the Launch Leadership Program, and that's going to include team lead and supervisor and any higher positions. This entire system is, I think, unique to my Chick-fil-A. Other Chick-fil-A's have different numbers of levels and different things that you have to complete to progress from one level to another. I think the Launch Leadership Program is shared between them, but I'm not positive on that. I actually never made it to level 2 training because there's a requirement that you have to be planning on working there for an additional 3 months once you start level 2 training, and I didn't meet that. So I wasn't formally trained on level 2. I did learn the positions though, and kind of become a little bit familiar with it. I did learn level 1 and pass my assessment for that. So that basically includes most of the positions. So it's stuff like taking orders at the register, taking orders at drive-through, serving orders inside and in the drive-through, serving orders at the window, and then making desserts and cleaning the dining room and checking in with guests. So I learned all those positions, and I did pass my level 1 assessment. At my Chick-fil-A, it's a pretty difficult assessment to pass. The people that administer it are the supervisors and everybody, and they are pretty picky on stuff. They'll definitely fail you for very little things. I was fortunate to pass on my first try. I do think I got a little bit lucky there though, because I know a lot of other people didn't pass on their first try and were failed for very specific things. Level 2 just includes bagging, which is taking the food from the kitchen and putting it into the bags and onto the trays to serve to the guests, and that also includes drinks, which is making all the drinks for drive-thru orders. These positions are level 2 just because they require a higher degree of accuracy and speed to keep up with the busyness when you're in a lunch rush or just during a busy time. You need to really be able to get out a lot of orders quickly and do it well. As far as the hiring process goes, I did have 2 interviews. The first one was just like general information about me, how long I was planning on working there, and like a little bit of my experience and stuff. And then my second interview was kind of more of that added on, and then I was offered the job during the second interview. When I got hired, I was paid, I think it was $12.75. That was, I don't know if that was minimum wage at the time, but that was what the starting wage was at the time. And then the minimum wage increase that happened this year upped that to $13.65 starting wage, I believe. And then once I passed my level 1 assessment, I got a 10-cent raise to $13.75 per hour. So the pay is not great. I know a lot of other Chick-fil-A's and other fast food jobs definitely pay a lot better, but I think it's okay. I would say that it was worth it for the experience I had working there. It was good for me. If you're looking for just a high-paying job, probably not the best option. In addition to that pay though, we did get an employee meal with every shift. When I started working, it was $9 per shift, and then later it got changed to $10 per shift. But we do have pretty hefty price increases on a regular basis, so it's not a lot. You can get like 1 sandwich and a side for that, so it's like, 1 meal, but it's nothing like crazy. but it was definitely good considering the lower pay kind of made up for that a little bit. There are definitely some other perks to working at Chick-fil-A. I would say the number one perk to my Chick-fil-A and probably a lot of other Chick-fil-A's is just the people that work there. They definitely are focused on hiring people that are really passionate about what they do and really strive for excellence. They do call us team members. It's a little bit cliche, but I think it's definitely a fitting term. We definitely do act as a team, and it's kind of fun because it's like we're the team, we're all standing here, and then we're facing up against our great adversary, which is time and speed of service and getting through the lunch rush without any big issues. And so it's a lot of fun to just, see everyone come together on a good day and just, get to it and hit a lunch rush right out of the park. So it's a lot of fun. Another perk that is specific to my Chick-fil-A in particular, I don't think a lot of other Chick-fil-A's have this, is we actually have a podcast as well. It's called the Northgate Pod, and it's put on by our Director of Culture and our Director of Finance. They have a really interesting dynamic, and they just talk about like the most random stuff for hours at a time. It's really all pretty silly, and none of it is very serious at all, but it's definitely a lot of fun to listen to, and really helps embody kind of the fun culture that we have at our Chick-fil-A. Even with all these great perks, there are definitely some downsides to working at Chick-fil-A. There weren't really many that weren't specific to my experience. I did have some issues with training getting postponed and forgotten about in some cases. Not really a huge issue, just a little bit of an annoyance. Being a, fast food job, it can definitely be very repetitive at sometimes, get a little bit monotonous. It's not always the most interesting work, just cleaning tables and ringing in orders and serving orders over and over again. But you just have to kind of find ways to make it interesting, and the people you work with are really important there, because I think if I wasn't working with the same people, I wouldn't have enjoyed it nearly as much, but the people just make all the difference. It's dark outside, I probably should have filmed this earlier. Alright, so the final thing I wanted to talk about is just some of the things that I learned while working at Chick-fil-A. The first thing was just how many different unique scenarios you come across during the course of a shift. It's just very interesting to see like some of the unique things that come along that I never would have expected. Like I had one lady came in and wanted to order Chick-fil-A sandwiches without the chicken. Like why? One guy almost got ran over in the drive-thru. One time people were in the wrong lane in the drive-thru. Our manager had to climb through the drive-thru window to go take the food to them because he didn't want to go all the way around the building to the door where you're supposed to go. One time a lady tried to pay with a Target gift card. Like just the most random stuff that I never would have thought, and it's just been a fun challenge to kind of adapt to some of those different scenarios, and also just the stuff that's not as unique but it's still challenging, just taking really big orders or really busy rushes, that sort of thing. There's just a lot of learning that happens during those scenarios, and that's really, I guess, the main takeaway from that is just that you learn through the challenges. You don't learn when it's, really slow and you're getting like one order every 5 minutes and super easy. You learn during the lunch rush when it's super fast and you don't know what to do and you're running around doing all these different things. You have to figure out how to delegate your time to different tasks and multitask and manage it all effectively. That's really when you learn and get better at your job. So learning comes through the challenges. The second thing I learned is kind of weird. I don't really know how to say this, and it's probably really obvious. Maybe it's just like a greater understanding of how the world works. But it was just the fact that people are involved in a lot, in every step of the process for everything important. I guess I just never realized that when I place an order at Chick-fil-A, someone's ringing in that order on the iPad, someone's making the food in the kitchen, all the way from the buns, the breading, assembling the sandwich. Someone's taking those sandwiches, putting them in a bag. Someone's adding the sauces and the napkins. Someone's taking my payment. Someone's serving me the food. It's just all run by people. And I guess I just never really thought about that. But it also applies to every aspect of life. Like, stuff doesn't just happen. There's people working in very important roles with a lot of responsibility doing very important things that would not happen if those people were not there. And it's kind of obvious, but it just kind of grew my understanding of the importance of having people in roles of responsibility. I guess maybe some people don't realize that. That could be, you know, the reason for some of the problems with, you know, people not wanting to work and stuff like that. They don't realize, like, you know, people actually need to be doing important jobs or else, you know, stuff just doesn't work. Okay, that was the deep philosophical part. The next thing I learned was just time management. I talked about this a little bit earlier, but just delegating your time to different tasks and always keeping busy. That was one of the main things that I was taught by a number of different managers, is just always be doing something. You don't ever want to be doing nothing. So even if you're on register and there's no orders to take, don't just stand there and wait for someone to come. You know, go stock the sauces, stock the cups, stock the ice, clean the counter, you know, maybe go do a round of table touch-ins with guests. Just do something to always stay productive and always make the most out of your time. The final thing I learned was just a lot about interacting with people. I interacted with a lot of different people at Chick-fil-A, you know, from all different backgrounds, all doing different things throughout their day, dealing with different specific scenarios that might arise. And I just learned a lot about communicating effectively, building rapport in a short amount of time, and just, like, you know, having small talk, that sort of thing. But I'm definitely a lot more comfortable now than I was before I started working at Chick-fil-A with just interacting with people that I don't really know as well, and kind of, you know, getting to know people, as well as interacting with friends, people that I already know, and people in a professional context, and everything like that. So that's definitely been a big thing that I've learned at Chick-fil-A. Alright, well, that concludes the video for today. I hope it was helpful for you guys. If you're thinking about working at Chick-fil-A, I would definitely recommend it. It was definitely a great experience for a first job for me. And I will try to post videos a little bit more often. I know I haven't been posting every day like I said I was going to, but I did finish up some finals and some schoolwork today. So hopefully next week I'll have a little bit more time to work on that. So yeah, I will see you guys soon, hopefully. Alright, bye.